What you consciously feel as you, yourself, from where intentions and actions are enacted, this center point, Jung titled the ego. Whatever happens in your inner-outer environment connects itself to it. Notice in a conversation, it's inevitable the speech of the other person will be linked back to what you think of the matter. You cannot simply listen. There's incessant and spontaneous mental associations. We understand the ego as the complex factor to which all conscious contents are related. It forms, as it were, the center of the field of consciousness, and insofar as this comprises the empirical personality, the ego is the subject of all personal acts of consciousness. Whenever you're involved in worrying, feeling, planning, there has to be a subject, a point of reference around which these mind elements occur. In regards, Oriental thought speaks of enlightenment, that dissolving this subject unravels your truth to be omnipresent and infinite. When I said that the ego rests on the total field of consciousness, I do not mean that it consists of this. Were that so, it would be indistinguishable from the field of consciousness as a whole. The ego is only the latter's point of reference. The ego works as an impasse that unconscious contents and environmental stimuli should pass by if they were to be consciously detected, as in the simple truth of you cannot see and process what's behind until you look back. The relation of a psychic content to the ego forms the criterion of its consciousness, for no content can be conscious unless it is represented to a subject. The threshold to how much the ego can experience finds its limits against unknown objects, things that aren't yet presented in front of you on the one hand, on another the realm of the unconscious. The ego is not aware of how, why, or from where these contents in their various forms are produced, but only of their after effects, their sudden emergence around its perimeter, meaning that ego in its essence is a reactive mechanism. In recent daily observations, I put my interest in this reactive nature of the ego. I saw it can create a chain of interlaced reactions that run our lives unbeknown to us. An example to clarify things. Let's say the act of body reflection triggers insecurity for you. You get into bodybuilding to soothe your perceived threat of how others might think of you. Here, you're going to the gym. Each time is a suppressive reaction against your insecurity. Had it not been for such a feeling, you may go on bodybuilding for its own sake or not at all. In-depth analysis. Your body reflected onto the mirror. Ego becomes aware of the negative state, reacts by thinking thoughts around it, reacts to the thoughts with an action. In a nutshell, you may establish behaviors based on your ego's reaction to passing content. You're often not aware of this. It happens as micro thoughts that run at the speed of light at the back of your head. Insecurity, the main cause behind your behavior, which at the beginning was a mere transient emotion, is now long forgotten and you're caught up in a seemingly acausal addiction. You get bored of the gym at some point, the emotion pops up again haunting you. Ego takes the easy way out, drinking, drugs, whatever it takes to escape. That's why you see some people with these strange patterns pop up like smoking and bodybuilding at the same time. Ego reactions feed off of resistance. You try all the more to suppress your flaws. They possess your behavior. How to intercept and dissolve ego reactions is a segment that will be included in my upcoming videos on shadow mechanics and shadow integration. For now, becoming aware of this, you already won half the battle. Keep in mind, not every ego response leads to a behavior, but every behavior usually originates from an ego response, an ego reaction to a passing content. Although all chronic patterns are shaped in this way, the same process can blossom into normal and healthy routines, like you're going to work every day. Was at the first an ego response to lack of money, need for experience, etc. The basic idea to remember, ego is always reacting to more than one internal, external content at any given moment. With each reactive step, more or less content is generated, like a snake endlessly biting its own tail. The Ouroboros archetype. The will is another function of the ego. However, the will can only be so powerful if the reactive function is less active. It overrides the will function in most cases. You can take action under stress, but you cannot choose to make vanish a fear through conscious will. The reactive layer is always in motion, like the ocean, and the will is the dolphin, so to speak. Quite the paradoxical nature to be in control and under control at a time. The building blocks of the structure of the ego are grounded in the unconscious. Your unconscious mind is full of conflicting complexes, and having the core of the ego based on such a rational ground explains much of its dominant reactive nature. You might have noticed a negative tone as I spoke about the ego, but that was never my intention throughout this video. Ego has its proper function, and it's an essential part of your psychology. It's just that we have to understand it better and learn how to go with the flow of its nature. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with anyone who you think could benefit from learning more about their ego. Thanks for watching.